The early 20th century was a time of great change and uncertainty. Across Europe, powerful nations eyed each other with suspicion. Germany, newly unified and hungry for power, challenged the established order. Great Britain, France and Russia, wary of Germany's ambitions, formed alliances to counter its growing might. Nationalism, a fierce pride in one's country, fueled tensions. Competition for colonies and control of resources added fuel to the fire. The world was like a powder keg waiting for a spark to ignite it. Within this volatile atmosphere, a web of alliances entangled the great powers. These alliances, meant to deter aggression, ironically made war more likely. A minor conflict between two countries could quickly drag in their allies, escalating a small dispute into a continental war. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne on June 28, 1914, provided that spark. Austria-Hungary, blaming Serbia for the assassination, issued an ultimatum with impossible demands. Serbia's refusal to comply triggered a chain reaction. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Russia mobilized to protect Serbia. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and France, Russia's ally. Within a month, most of Europe was at war. World War I was a conflict unlike any the world had ever seen. New technologies, such as machine guns and poison gas, made warfare deadlier than ever before. Millions of soldiers found themselves bogged down in trenches, fighting a brutal war of attrition. The Western Front, a line of trenches stretching across France and Belgium, became a symbol of the war's savagery. For 4 long years, the war raged on. Battles like the Somme and Verdun became synonymous with unimaginable carnage. Entire generations of young men were wiped out. The United States, initially neutral, joined the war in 1917 on the side of the Allies. Great Britain, France, Russia, and others. The entry of the United States, with its fresh troops and vast resources, tipped the balance in favor of the Allies. Finally, on November 11, 1918, Germany signed an armistice, ending the fighting. The war was over, but its scars would run deep. Millions lay dead and Europe was in ruins. The victors, eager to punish Germany and prevent another war, imposed harsh terms on their defeated foe. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended World War I. However, instead of fostering lasting peace, the treaty sowed the seeds of future conflict. The treaty blamed Germany for the war and imposed crushing reparations payments. Germany lost territory and was forced to disarm. The humiliation and resentment felt by many Germans created fertile ground for extremist ideologies like Nazism to take root. The treaty also redrew the map of Europe, creating new nations and igniting new tensions. The Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires, once major powers, were dissolved. The League of Nations, a new international organization aimed at preventing future wars, was weakened from the start by the absence of the United States, which refused to join. The world hoped that World War I had been the war to end all wars. However, the Treaty of Versailles, instead of healing the wounds of war, left them festering. The stage was set for another, even more devastating conflict. The 1920s and 1930s were a time of economic turmoil and political upheaval. The Great Depression, a global economic crisis, gripped the world. In Germany, hyperinflation crippled the economy and fueled social unrest. Against this backdrop of despair and disillusionment, extremist movements gained momentum. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party exploited the nation's humiliation and economic woes to seize power. Hitler, a charismatic but ruthless dictator, preached a message of German supremacy and territorial expansion. He rebuilt Germany's military in defiance of the Treaty of Versailles and set his sights on reclaiming lost territory and conquering new lands. In Japan, militarists, driven by expansionist ambitions, gained control of the government. Japan, seeking resources and territory, invaded Manchuria in 1931 and later waged a full-scale war against China. The League of Nations, weak and ineffective, proved unable to stop the aggression of Germany and Japan. Section 5, A World at War Again, Key Battles and Turning Points. World War II began on September 1, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland. France and Great Britain, honoring their commitments to Poland, declared war on Germany. The war quickly escalated into a global conflict, drawing in nations from around the world. The early years of the war saw a string of stunning German victories. Using a new military tactic known as Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War, German forces quickly overran Poland, Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium and France. Great Britain, standing alone against the Nazi war machine, endured a relentless bombing campaign during the Battle of Britain. In June 1941, Hitler broke his pact with Stalin and launched a massive invasion of the Soviet Union. The invasion of the Soviet Union, which Hitler believed would be a quick victory, turned into a protracted and brutal conflict that would ultimately drain Germany's resources and manpower. Section 6. The Atomic Dawn, a New Era of Warfare. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, a major US naval base. The attack on Pearl Harbor shocked the American public and propelled the United States into World War II on the side of the Allies. With the United States now involved, the tide of the war began to turn. The Allied victory in the Battle of Midway in June 1942 marked a turning point in the Pacific War. From that point forward, the United States and its allies gradually pushed back the Japanese advance. In Europe, the D-Day landings on June 6, 1944, marked the beginning of the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi control. Faced with imminent defeat, Japan refused to surrender. In a desperate attempt to force a Japanese surrender, the United States dropped atomic bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. The atomic bombings, which killed hundreds of thousands of people, ushered in a new and terrifying era of warfare. Section 7. Picking up the pieces, the aftermath of war. World War II officially ended on September 2, 1945, with Japan's formal surrender. The war left an estimated 40 to 85 million people dead and much of Europe and Asia in ruins. The horrors of the Holocaust, the genocide perpetrated by Nazi Germany against Jews and other minority groups, shocked the world. The world was a different place after the war. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as the two dominant superpowers, each with its own ideology and sphere of influence. The wartime alliance between the two countries quickly dissolved into suspicion and rivalry, marking the beginning of the Cold War. The war also had a profound impact on the global balance of power. European colonialism, already weakened by the war, began to crumble. Over the coming decades, dozens of former colonies gained their independence, reshaping the political landscape of the world. Section 8. A New World Order, the Rise of Superpowers. In the aftermath of World War II, a new global order emerged, dominated by the United States and the Soviet Union. The two superpowers, each possessing nuclear weapons, engaged in a decades-long ideological and geopolitical struggle known as the Cold War. This rivalry shaped international relations for much of the latter half of the 20th century. The United States, committed to containing the spread of communism, provided economic and military aid to countries threatened by Soviet expansionism. The Soviet Union, seeking to promote its own ideology and influence, supported communist movements and governments around the world. The Cold War rivalry played out in proxy wars, espionage, and a nuclear arms race that kept the world on edge. Despite the tensions of the Cold War, the post-war period also witnessed significant international cooperation. The United Nations, established in 1945, provided a forum for dialogue and cooperation among nations. The Marshall Plan, a massive US aid program, helped rebuild war-torn Europe and fostered economic recovery. Section 9. Echoes of war, lasting impacts on today's world. The world wars, though long over, continue to shape our world today. The lessons learned from these conflicts, both positive and negative, resonate in the institutions, alliances, and challenges we face in the 21st century. The United Nations, born from the ashes of World War II, remains a vital platform for international diplomacy and cooperation. The European Union, a political and economic union of European nations, stands as a testament to the enduring desire for peace and cooperation in a region scarred by centuries of conflict. The world wars also spurred technological advancements that continue to impact our lives today, from computers and the internet to advances in medicine and transportation. However, the legacies of these wars are not all positive. The specter of nuclear war, a terrifying possibility made real by the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, continues to haunt us. The rise of nationalism, a key factor in both world wars, remains a potent force in global politics, often fueling division and conflict. Ultimately, the world wars serve as a stark reminder of the human capacity for both destruction and resilience. They remind us of the importance of diplomacy, cooperation, and understanding in a world still grappling with the legacies of conflict. As we navigate the complexities of the 21st century, we must draw upon the lessons of the past to build a more peaceful and just world for all.